Alright, this is going to be my first how-to video, so forgive me if it's, not up to par or anything, but I'm going to try my best. So, what we're going to do here is going to make dungeon tiles. Now, for those of you who've played D&D, you've probably seen them in stores. You can buy them. They're usually made of cardboard, not too terrible. I mean, most of them are good quality, but sometimes you just want a little bit more. Well, I figured a way to make them out of PVC pipe for really cheap, and, it's just another option. Over here I've got one drying. This is just got a base coat on it. As you can see, the miniatures have clearly defined spaces where they can go. And like I said, I just belted this out in just a few minutes. So you've got some spare PVC. There's really no limit. So what we're going to need is the PVC pipe, of course. Right here I've got 1.5 inch Schedule 40. This is 14 inches long. And what we're going to do is take and mark a line down the center of this. Then we're going to heat only this top section up, and what we're going to do is cut it with a box cutter, and then we're going to heat it all the way up once we've made our cut, and then take it to a flat surface and apply another flat surface on top of it, and that's going to smash it down to where it's completely flat. Now once that happens, then we'll be able to, I'm using a dremel tool to cut the lines in that you saw. You don't have to use a dremel tool. A hacksaw, a tile saw would work. Anything that you're comfortable doing. You're just making a shallow cut just to delineate where the miniatures can go. So I'm going to get started on this, and I'll see you here in a sec. So I've got my line drawn on my piece of PVC pipe right here, and what I'm going to do is take the heat gun, and I'm only going to heat this top section up to where it's very pliable. And what this will do is allow the knife to pass through it extremely easily. And since I have the line, I have a guide to go by. If you don't get it perfectly straight, don't worry, we can fix that in later steps. Like I said, this is just to get the pipe open to where we can lay it out on our surface and get it completely flattened. So I'm going to heat it up and cut it down that center line, and I'll show you what it looks like whenever it's all flattened out. Alright, so as you can see, I took the knife and made a slit all the way down my line there. And what this is going to do, we're going to heat this the rest of the way up until completely pliable, and then lay it out onto our flat surface, place something else flat, and sit on it. Anything you have handy, you can place weights or anything like that, but I'll get that done and show you what it looks like. So I heated the PVC pipe up, and I've had it sitting under my 2 shelves here. These are just some spare shelves I had lying around. Any flat surface will do. Set some weight on here. This is my wire for making chainmail. It's a fairly new spool, so it weighs about 15 pounds. That's enough to do the job. If you wanted to, you could sit on it, put some textbooks on it, anything you really wanted to, but we'll take this off, and we'll see what came out. And sitting here is a nice, flat sheet of PVC. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to mark out the grid zones. Now you could be a little bit more exact. What I do is I line up the very bottom of the ruler with the very bottom of the PVC. Then what I do is I take a black marker and mark a line right here. And then I move the ruler up to where that line ends. And then straighten it out as much as I can and then make another line. I continue all the way up it. And then whenever I'm done that way, I'll turn it to the side. And once again, take my ruler, go from the bottom or top, and make my lines that way. What that'll do is give you clearly designed or clearly marked places for your miniatures to go. And the good thing about it is what we're going to do afterwards is take the Dremel tool with a standard cutting wheel and then mark grooves in all these lines. And what that'll do is give you clearly defined space where your minis can and can't go, everything like that. If you know, on some of the commercial dungeon tiles, they just have lines drawn in them. This way, whenever we put those lines in, we can paint it, do whatever we want to, and there's still a clearly defined space for the minis to go, and there's no arguing over it. You know, you have 30 feet of movement. Each square is going to represent 5 feet of movement, and it's going to be roughly, the ruler is 1.25 inches maybe, something like that. But the ruler is going to give plenty enough space for any mini to sit comfortably within it without being so over large that it looks awkward. So I'm going to mark the lines in it, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's alright, as you can see now, with a ruler and Sharpie, I just marked out the lines, and they're all pretty even. Now, you notice that this section right here is much smaller than these, so what we're going to do is take it to the bandsaw and cut along this entire length, and also on this side since it didn't turn out quite long enough. Now, I saved those pieces because with PVC and being able to mold it how we can with heat, you can use them for many other different purposes, so always save your scraps. If I'm ever making a PVC warhammer or something like that, I'll take these little bits, roll them up after I've heated them, and stick them into the end, and what that does is plug the end of the hammerhead, and at that point, whenever I put, you know, a finishing putty or something like that, it's a lot harder to tell what it was originally. So remember, you can always save your scraps. So I'm going to take it to the bandsaw and cut it out, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So I've got it cut out now. Everything's evened up at this point. And if you wanted to, before you take the Dremel or hacksaw and, you know, score these lines, you could chop this up into smaller sections depending on the amount of tiles you wanted to make, how big you wanted to make the tiles. It really depends. It's up to you at this point. I'm just going to leave it as a full size because I want a large room for this instance. So I'm going to take my Dremel tool with just a regular cutting wheel, and I will be taking it and running it along these lines, making a shallow score. So once I'm finished with that, we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Alright, so I got the lines scored now with the cutting wheel of the Dremel tool. And at this point, it's really up to you what you want to do. If you want to go for the old style look, you know, with the graph grid where you drew, you could keep this and, you know, stay along that vein. Or you can, you know, paint them. Any old spray paint will do. This is what I got. It was $3, $4, something like that, and this is going to last for several dungeon tiles. Like I said, I've got this one done. What I'm going to do with it is just take some acrylic paint, some 50-cent cheapy Walmart craft paint and dry brush some gray on it, and it's going to look like stone. You can really go anywhere with this. You could dry brush a little bit of green and brown on there, and it could be more of a forest scene. Or if you wanted to, instead of flattening with another flat surface, what you could do is take a cinder block and place it on top of this on your other flat surface. And what that's going to do is the pebbles and rocky look of the cinder block, since it's so heavy, it's going to mash into this and actually give you a textured surface to work with. You could do any number of things. If you wanted to have a large clear area and maybe press something like a cross or something else that you could mash into it, you can really do a lot with the moldability of the PVC. So really it's up to you where you go from here. Like I said, this is a very cheap alternative because I've seen some dungeon tiles go for, you know, 30, 40, 50 bucks, and sometimes they aren't exactly what you need. So if you're like that, which I am, I like to make anything that I can. So this is a good opportunity for me to, you know, stretch my creativity and see what I can or can't make, because with PVC it's really your imagination that's limiting you, because you could, instead of doing this, cut out doorways. You could make different bridges out of it using the moldability of it. Like I said, there's anything you could do. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Sorry I wasn't able to show you what exactly I was doing. I don't have a tripod or anything, but I wanted to get this out there and show you what you could do. So hopefully y'all like it, but I'll catch y'all later.